Well, hello you bearded bastards, and welcome back once again to Milpagust, Waddlesquash. Right now it's the 10th of Opal, 412, midwinter of our 10th year, and Sheriff Wighton is armed with his musket and heading over to take care of some trouble. Not a task he relishes. Now, if you have a look down here by the Bent Limb Inn, you can see that human, the royal treasurer, and her guard attacking a whole bunch of strangelings. And it is not going well for those little guys. They're just chasing them around out in this field outside the inn, just running them through. That guard is especially well armed. The treasurer, not so much. In fact, they don't have any weapons or armor, but the guard more than makes up for it. Here's hoping Wighton can get here in time. Alright, looks like the humans are heading down towards the mines right now, circling around the back of them. I thought they were running away for a second, but it does not appear to be the case. Do they see Wighton? Wighton's approaching from the north now. Moving in, right in, and firing as he approaches, right at the royal treasurer, who he runs past and around. The guard looks to be chasing him down, but not in a stupendous hurry. There are two guards here now, actually, who don't appear to be intervening. One of them is moving towards Wighton as he blasts away at the royal treasurer, but I guess they really just aren't intervening. A couple of terrible guards, frankly. Alright, yeah, Wighton's just going to town, taking care of business as the guards stand in stunned disbelief, I guess. Oh, and there we go. Wighton put the murderous royal treasurer down, and both the guards are moving away towards the south. They're running away. Boy, I would love an explanation as to what any of this was. We were attacked by bogies who chose to climb up the badger tree and start pushing badgers out of the tree, killing them. Wighton took care of them. And at the same time, the royal treasurer and her guard were killing strangelings. So Wighton goes over, takes out the royal treasurer, and the guards do absolutely nothing to the guy. It's a baffling situation. Gonna have to do some big pondering on that one, because I really just have no explanation for it whatsoever. Well, at this point, the pumpkins have been released from the church and are trying to clean up the mess that the humans and bogies made. Gonna start getting the bodies cleaned up and put off to the side somewhere for burial. I suppose it's good we started planning up a cemetery, eh? Didn't think we'd be in such dire need of one, but here we are. Yikes. Yeah, that's some rotten business right there. But yes, here's hoping that now that event is over, we can get on with our lives. 7 graves total. Had to dig a few more for those poor strangelings and those bogies as well. Yes, the ones that were killing our badgers. Mengfor rest their souls. Oh, and the souls of our poor badgers, mind you. Having a look over here in the west, in the badger trees, you can see several badgers. Now we can say that some of them have died due to violence. And where once we had a flourishing colony of 20 plus badgers up here, I think now there's about 5, 6 or so older badgers too. That's a damn shame. Oh, and you can see a bit of turbulence up there too. Panicked badgers, enraged badgers. They're still a bit shaken up, it would seem. Well, that's about right. Completely understandable, the poor things. Here's hoping they can come back stronger than they were. I'm sure they will. It'll just take some time. Poor, poor badgers. But yes, anyways, pumpkins, we gotta shake it off. That was a traumatizing event to be sure, but we have to continue on. And in the meantime, we're gonna be trying to figure out that whole royal treasurer situation there. I'd really like to figure out what the hell the deal was with that. We do not want relations to sour with the humans. They're our closest allies, so it's important we at least put some thought into it. But yes, for now, we continue on with our work. But first, before we get to that, I think maybe we should have a quick look at Wighton, our leader. We haven't really had the time to check in on our pumpkins all so often, just due to the amount of work and other events lately. But if we could just check in on him, then maybe it'll give us a good idea of the other pumpkin's state of mind. We should be keeping more on top of this sort of stuff. Don't really want another scored incident popping up now, do we? Not at all. Well, let's see. Currently, Wighton is saying, it's such a joy to be with people. Well, that's good to hear, certainly. Other than that, though, we could see that he's been afraid, reliving, experiencing trauma, probably during his bogey tree battle there. He was delighted remembering watching a performance, in the bent limb, I'm sure. Blissful after a bath. I did actually watch him recently clean up, probably getting some bogey blood off himself. He was content after eating a wonderful dish cooked by Jarrett, I'm sure, was blissful dining in a fantastic dining room. Frustrated after dwelling upon being unable to help anybody for too long. That's a shame. He was also frustrated after being away from traditions for too long. And also frustrated after being unable to wander for too long. Just like Scored, right? Oh, and he's also feeling lonely after being away from friends for too long. Okay, see, that's not good. I think we're overworking these pumpkins again. Might be that we have to take some more time off. Not something we love to do, but it's probably for the best. Yeah, he's got a whole bunch of things going on mentally. There's a couple negative bits in there about him being uncovered lately. I think he may have changed his clothes at some point, like between that whole armor deal there, and may have been briefly naked, exposing his viney body to the world. I don't think he appreciated that so much. You know, I'm actually coming up with an idea here. Nothing that's going to help him immediately, but it could be a way to boost our pumpkin's moods a bit. What if we had like an assembly hall or something where we could go and pumpkins could lead demonstrations for various labors? Would that be a good idea? I can't help but feel like it would be. I guess the question would be, do we have to actually set up a specific building for that, or could we use an existing building? The church, maybe. That could be a good idea. Oh, you know what, actually? We have the crafting hall up here. It's actually fallen into a bit of disuse just because we've moved several of the workshops out. How about we repurpose this building here? We could put a couple workshops upstairs, and the bottom floor here could just be used for some sort of a assembly hall, like a temporary guild hall for certain laborers. Yeah, you know, I think that sounds like a pretty good idea. It's just I was thinking Wighton wants to help people, and the only way to do that, other than like rescuing somebody from combat or bringing a wounded pumpkin some water, is to help them with their skills by leading a demonstration of some variety, I think. So this might fit that bill, for Wighton and a bunch of other pumpkins too. Yeah, it sounds like a good idea to me. Anyways, moving on, we could do something like this right here. I think this'll do just fine, actually. Got a nice table in there, some chairs, and a nice area where a teacher can come and just try to teach their students. This building is going to be known as the Hall of Learning, and hopefully we could use it to disperse our knowledge out to the other pumpkins a little bit. Currently we have it set to farming demonstrations in an attempt to get Wighton over here to share his knowledge out. We'll have to see if he feels like it though. Should be interesting. Anyways, if we have a look here, it's currently the 17th of Granite 413, early spring of our 11th year. With that, I think it's time we evaluate last year's Meng 4 advice before seeing what she says of this new year. Now then, last year we got the 4-pointed star, which means good luck. And you know, for being as tumultuous a year as it was, we were lucky, weren't we? We definitely were. That was our first bogey attack, and we also had trouble with the humans, but we've lost no pumpkins. Meng 4 was able to protect all of our citizens, and thus she certainly did not lie, did she? That was an extremely lucky year. Thank you once again, Meng 4. Now let's see what she says about this year. So, O festive one, tell us, what can Waddlesquash, under your dutiful guidance, expect in its 11th year? You roll, divining the will of Meng 4 according to the practice of the beige denomination. The rock salt dodecahedral die comes up a full moon. Fairly nebulous. We must rely on willpower to see us through. That sounds like we might have a challenge coming our way. But who's to say, really? We'll have to keep this one in mind. It's a little foreboding. Not too sure what to make of it, frankly. But I suppose time will tell. Thank you, Meng 4, for your guidance. We remain forever in your festive lights. Now then, on with our projects. Well, if we have a look over here at the Little Pumpkin Library, you can see the pumpkins are busy disassembling the wooden walls because we're finally going to replace them with stone. We have more than enough at this point, so I figured what the hell, let's do it. I think we're going to keep the floors wood and the interior walls wood as well, just because we don't have all that much stone. I think that'll work out fine anyways. It shouldn't take too long. And continuing on, if you have a look over here, you can see we're continuing our stone road over this way, just kind of winding over to the northwest. We plan to get rid of these fields over here because we haven't really used them all that much. And in the future, if we need more, we could just build some more. That won't be a problem at all. And if you look down this way here, you can see this large 6-family home is completed, but we still need some more chairs and a few other things as well. So that's getting there. Very soon we're going to have 14 empty houses in town, which means we no longer have an excellent reason to not take in more pumpkins. Gonna have to start putting some thought into that. As the year marches forward, if you have a look over here at the trade depot, you can see the humans from Hindtown have arrived and seem to be completely unbothered by those events with the royal treasurer there. In fact, it looks like they've appointed a new one. Really good to see. Hopefully this one doesn't try to kill any strangelings or anything. Just a weird situation all around, frankly. Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on them. And actually one last little thing to note up over here, a little bit of a depressing construction project, yes. It's our cemetery, now with 9 graves, which is ridiculous. Turns out there was a couple other bogey corpses up at the north border. I'm not too sure why they were there though. They're not ones we killed, but still, We had to bury them, as well as a couple strangelings that died, as well as the old royal treasurer. Hopefully they rest now in Mengfor's light. But yes, we are trucking straight through this year. As you saw, the humans were here, so that means summer has come and is quickly passing. And with how much we've been able to get done, I think we should probably lay off the work for a little bit. We did do a whole bunch this past year, and we do have some other things to consider, like the Bent Limb Inn over here. It's doing okay, but at this point, we're not really seeing any new faces in here, just kind of the same old strangelings, the same old bogeys. Arm Control Hate is in here at the moment, actually. Seems to be doing well, still. But yeah, we can't easily say this place is the main attraction of Waddlesquash anymore, especially now that the badger tree has taken a hit like it did. Looking up there right now, we only have the 6 badgers, and quite a few dead badgers too. Yeah, it's a shame, but I think we have to start thinking about some other avenues. This old badger tree just isn't drawing in crowds anymore. Now, I know I said we can kind of change focus and make the little pumpkin over here be our main focus, which probably would work out pretty well. We may still do that, but I actually had another idea too, a different idea. You see, the strangeling Rands made that great discovery just recently, that one about the artifacts and how to categorize them, and that got us thinking. As far as artifacts go, the most important one to us pumpkinheads is the Embraces of Joy, the slab created by Mengfor, the one that holds the secrets of witchcraft. Now, it's an interesting thing because at the current time, it is not held by the Pumpkinheads anymore, though it was held by us for a very long time previously. Imagine if we could track that thing down and bring it back here. Wouldn't that be something? Might be worth it, right? Not too sure how it'd go, but couldn't hurt all too bad to try, right? At the very least, we should do some research and see if we can't track down where the thing might be exactly. That'd be a worthwhile pursuit, I say. We'll get our sage Rands right to it. And in the meantime, I suppose we should check on our recent reports from the mysterious caves beneath Waddlesquash, shouldn't we? Well, you'll be happy to know that Scored is still alive down there, though his mood has not improved all that much, unfortunately. Poor guy's just doing what he can with what he has, and he doesn't have much. But one thing he does have is bat bones. Quite a few of them, too. Yeah, I forget at this point how many of them he's killed. He killed 2 last time we checked in. I'm trying to think. Since then, he's killed another 1 giant bat and 2 giant toads, which seem far easier to kill. Luckily, the guy has not lost any more limbs, because he doesn't really have that many more to lose, I guess. If he lost his remaining arm or leg, he would be in some dire straits for sure. But no, he's hanging in there. Yeah, the guy's making some bone crafts right now. Crowns, rings, bracelets, that sort of stuff, just to try to keep busy. I believe the intention now is to make some good ones, and then get them displayed on a pedestal within his quarters. I think that'd be pretty nice. Although we can see he's just now throwing another tantrum, wrecked to the tanner's workshop that he had down there and is now rampaging off through the caverns. Man, oh man, Scored. I really wish this guy could bring it back. I know he didn't really set a time limit as to how long he's supposed to be spending down in the caves here, but we can't really let him up if he's still throwing tantrums like this. He's just gonna hurt someone else. So as misguided as it may seem, I guess the plan at the current time is just keep him locked down underground and hope his mood improves? Though it's hard to say at this point if that's a sound plan or not. Doesn't sound very promising though, I will say that much. If we have a look over here in Scored's chambers, you'll notice some changes. We had actually come in at one point and carved out that item transfer chamber to make it a little bit bigger, and Scored has claimed it as part of his bedroom, and in doing so has smoothed down and engraved the walls with all sorts of images. This here actually counts as a pretty good bedroom too. Believe it or not, it could be considered to be one of the most well-appointed bedrooms in all of Waddlesquash. He has an altar in there, some pretty well-made furniture, his bat bone armor and copper pick are in there, and he also has several statues that he himself made out of the stone that was carved out of the walls here. One problem with this chamber is that he's had a recent infestation of rats, like normal-sized rats, not giant rats or anything, but he really does not like rats at all. So that's been concerning him, though he did have a plan to deal with it. What he did was take some of those wooden supports that he deconstructed earlier and use that wood to make an animal trap that you can see on the floor out there. And after he had the thing set up, he baited the thing with giant bat meat, though it didn't really work at all. He had the thing set up for a while, but it just started stinking terribly in there, really kind of made things a lot worse when you get down to it. But still, he's trying, it keeps his mind off stuff, which is probably for the best. But yes, back to those engravings, we should probably have a look at some of those while we're in here. It's kind of sad, really. You can see he's engraved on this wall a image of a great pumpkin that he dubbed the Wet Vine. Interesting. Probably misses those big beasts, huh? Over on this wall, we can see an image of an apple tree, which he named the Trumpet of Frenzies. Kind of a dramatic name for such a relatively simple image. Maybe just thinking about being locked underground and being unable to see forests like this anymore sends him into a frenzy. And maybe at this point the very thought of a forest acts like a trumpet, heralding the coming of madness. Poor guy. And we also have this image over here, an engraving of a pumpkin head. Very simple. He named this one the Faithful Keys. Maybe after all he does see the pumpkins as keys to his freedom. Of course, keys can also be used to lock something away, can't they? You can see he's put a lot of thought into these. And while there hasn't been too much excitement down here, before we leave, I figure we could do a little bit more exploring. I had only just recently realized that Scourge still had some area to cover up in the North Caves, so let's go check it out. You do like to wander still, don't you, friend? Figured this would be a good way to get out there, so let's get to it. Recently the caves have been relatively quiet, but they don't often stay that way for very long. Those giant bats come out of nowhere most of the time, swoop right down. Been a couple close calls, but Scourge hasn't had too much trouble thanks to his pick. Same goes for the toads. Just saw a giant salamander there real quick. It ran off though, no problem. The Scourge has yet to face one of those things in combat, but I have a feeling they're quite formidable. Though I suppose it's hard to say for sure. Anyway, as you can see, this bit right here, Scourge is passing through this narrow tunnel. This is the last tunnel he had carved away before being attacked by those bats. Remember, he can't do any more mining because of his injuries, but yes, he can pass this way up to the north, revealing another section of caves. Noticing the guy's throwing a bit of a tantrum currently. Couldn't easily blame him. It's so alien down here for a little pumpkin head like him. That's an interesting bit of cavern, isn't it? Just a narrow ledge open all around. There's an assorted selection of quartzite pillars around him, though it'd be awful hard to see them off in the dark like that. There are a lot of gems down here, glittering in the torchlight. That'd be one advantage of coming down to the caves, I think. Those gems might have to be something to consider. We've yet to find any sort of metal at all, but if we can get those gems, maybe we could do something. We don't yet have a dedicated jeweler in town, but with the idea of taking on more pumpkins, we could definitely have one. Though it's looking like there's not a whole heck of a lot more out here. Grass, sand, gems, and assorted bloodstains. Well, that might be for the best. I can't imagine Scourge loves exploring out here. Again, it's just such an alien place. Head back home, buddy. Get yourself a nice drink and we can figure out what to do next. Hang in there, Scourge. Mengfor watches over you. Now then, we're going to head back above ground, and as you can see, the year is sailing right along. Right now it's the 20th of Sandstone, 413, mid-autumn. So we're getting to the end. The pumpkin traders have just left, and we're just doing some general cleaning, as well as some relaxing. Again, we're trying to take it easy recently. You know, we finally got that new 6-family house all situated with furniture, got the little pumpkin library outfitted with stone blocks, and did quite a few other things around here this year. But there's been disturbingly little talk about that bogey attack last year. That is fairly foolish of us. I think they attacked last winter, right? Well, we're approaching winter again. I guess really when you get down to it, the attack wasn't that bad, but still, we're going to be ready. As we were saying earlier, we have all those new houses done, so I'm thinking next year we should open up our gates once again and take in some new pumpkins. Increase our population a bit more. Maybe that way we could get some more work done around here too. That would be just excellent. Also on top of that, we could outfit some new pumpkins with new muskets and armor. Well, maybe not the armor, just remembering how slowly Wighton moves in the stuff. But still, yeah, we can get them armed up and maybe do some interesting things with them. Remember, we had Sage Rand doing some research about that slab recently, and I'm eager to show off what we found about the Embraces of Joy, which strangely isn't as old as I thought it was. I guess I had assumed it was created at the beginning of time, but no, it looks like it was made in the year 296, just a bit more than 100 years ago, and the thing was given to a bogey, but was lost by said bogey just a year later. Now, I'd like to dig into this information a bit deeper, but let's just go over it quickly. The slab was lost, and then 28 years later it was found by a pumpkinhead, who then gifted it to our king, where it was made a royal icon, though the slab was only held by our king for 19 years, before being lost again. Just for a brief period though, because then it was found again by another bogey, who thankfully gifted it to the beige denomination, Mengfor's religion, where it was made a symbol of the Most High Seam. Yes, this slab has had quite a turbulent history, but that was not it, because 54 years later, it was lost once again. And to this very day, it remains lost. Magfor's greatest artifact, lost somewhere out there in the Autumn Kingdom. And with that, we're going to start drawing things to a close by talking about some behind-the-scenes things. Okay. A little bit of Waddlesquash evolution in this episode, nothing too big. It's nice to see things settling down a bit, no more of that stress nonsense. Of course, we'll have to see if that remains the case after we take in some new pumpkins next episode, which I do intend on doing. We have 14 empty houses in town right now, and I figured, what the hell, we'll take in 14 more. Not gonna hurt us too badly, I don't think. That'll bring us up to 30 residents. And unfortunately, I feel like it's gonna mean we'll start losing some of the personality, I think. To be fair, it's not like a lot of them had the most vibrant personalities, but we at least got to see pictures of them. That's fine though, we'll still see some faces pop up from time to time, and hopefully things will continue to evolve. I know a lot of people like this series for its calmness and relaxation, autumn warmth, that sort of stuff. Man, I like it for that too, frankly, I do. But I also like when things get weird. I'm sure you know that. I want to try out some things, I want to do some things. I don't particularly want to see pumpkins die, but might happen. Who knows? I'm going to be careful as I can be. As we saw, pumpkins can be fairly durable. So that's good. I mean, if Wighton's combat history and Scourd's combat history show us anything, then it's that they can fight. Oh, and it was good to see that those bogeys are actually extremely weak, too. Those ones that were crawling around in that tree, remember they kind of just got blasted away? Imagine what we could do with a full, squad of pumpkin musketeers. I know we were talking about this a while back, but yeah, I think we're gonna start heading in that direction a bit more. As it is with all of our current workers, we're able to take care of our pumpkins absolutely fine. We had way more than enough food back in the day when we were growing stuff. Cotton, too. Speaking of which, we're gonna have to start making new clothing, I think. Actually, scratch that, we won't have to do that at all. I've told you about those specters dying around our perimeter a whole bunch at this point, but you guys just have no idea how many have died out there. I'll have to show that off at some point, not right now. But it's kind of hard to count, but I'm gonna say there's probably been something like 500 specters that have exploded around our borders. The list is fairly insane. Again though, I'm just gonna work that into our whole story here. I really like the thought that these specters are coming from some mountain tomb because they sense something special about Waddlesquash here, and they just they come here to rest, you know? I think it's cool, I was talking about it a little bit last episode, I think, where we can picture a human, right? A human lives their life and then they die and they turn to a specter, right? And then the specter will go somewhere and explode like they're doing at Waddlesquash here, and maybe their spirit kind of enters the earth and comes back as a pumpkin head. And then the pumpkin head dies somewhere and decomposes like a human does, and their body in turn nourishes the earth, which can come back as another human or possibly a strangeling. I don't know, I'm noticing all this this cycle in this series. It's interesting to me. Oh, and then that slab, too. I got pretty excited about that thing when I was looking into the Legends mode, which is how I found out about it. I was just digging through Legends mode to find something. You could see it as kind of cheaty, but it's not. It's not really. If I had looked at Legends mode beforehand, I would have known about it. What you have to do is make a backup of your world save, you know? Make a backup and then you can go peruse Legends mode. Just retire your fortress, peruse Legends mode, see what's in there. I really wish you can look at Legends mode while playing actual Dwarf Fortress mode. The events can be so opaque sometimes, I just want to know what happens. And you can kind of pick things apart while in Fortress mode, but it's just a big pain in the butt. I much prefer using Legends mode. But yeah, some cool stuff with that whole artifact. Might have to try to get our hands on it. Anyways, rambling on here. My bearded bastards, I thank you for watching. I truly do appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves today. And of course, I certainly do hope to see you next time here in Milpagust, Waddlesquash. And until then, you bearded bastards.